Pixar. We got, let's see. Where's your mic?
Right here.
There we go. We got Pixar. We got an DeLorean. So were you did you like Cinnamon Toast Crunch before this news broke out?
I think there was a few years where I started having it more.
Yeah.
Probably in I forgot middle school, high school, but around that time. I kind of started liking it. It wasn't bad.
Oh, he gone. This is the part of the show where Armand fixes up his coffee now.
Did you like Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Our family was a cinnamon toast crunch and Reese's Puffs family. I personally, I don't think I have no preference when it comes to cereal. I'll eat just about anything that is put in a bowl. I just can't. I just don't like putting milk in it. So
Milk, yeah.
well, let's see. We had Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Reese's Puffs. I liked Captain Crunch a lot. Captain Crunch with berries. My only thing is we didn't have cereal a lot unless it was Honey Nut Cheerios, Honey Bunches of Oats.
Raisin Bran?
No, I was at my grandparents', but Raisin Bran, yeah, because the only time we got cereal was when we didn't have any cavities at the dentist. So we had cereal. I got my own cereal like twice a year because of no cavities. But my mom owes me a bunch of boxes of cereal now because she's not doing that after some time. But
Rice
Krispie now. I see. What would you eat with it if you weren't making? Yeah, you can turn it on. What would you eat with it if you weren't making Rice Krispie treats?
What do you mean? What would I eat Rice Krispies with?
Like you would just eat it alone? It's just plain cereal. I feel like you'd have to put like sugar in it or something.
Exactly.
Sprinkle some sugar in it.
You think of my dad's? There was sugar on hand with cereal.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I wouldn't.
Maybe put some fruit in it. If not, you just have it plain.
See, we were an oatmeal family. Oatmeal.
Like I couldn't have the Fruit Loops, but then my mom, when I got older, I feel like we just started getting any cereal we liked because she just wanted us to eat more breakfast.
Good morning, Mr. Martin. We are back.
Good morning.
We are back. We got a new phone stand thanks to our family friend, the Molinas.
Martin was wondering why we were in different rooms.
Oh yeah, because the first phone stand had broken in half, so we had to get a new one. And thanks to our fans, Miss Jill Molina was able to give us a new stand.
Thank you.
So we are officially back in the Coffee's On studio, which is just our dining room. Once we move out, we'll have to do different locations again. That's fine. Unless we could do a meetup at your parents' house, we could do a meetup at my parents' house, wherever we go.
Live studio audit. My mom loved the idea of going to different places.
Yeah.
Like Clay Giltner said, but
yeah, we'll go be next place we're gonna be on is was it Rodeo Boulevard, in front of the most expensive coffee shop in California. I don't even know if there's a coffee shop on Rodeo Boulevard. But did anybody hear the news about the Cinnamon Toast Crunch? It was trending on Twitter yesterday. I don't know if it broke to news stations or not. Maybe you saw it on Maybe you saw it on the morning news, your local news.
I saw something very little on Twitter. Didn't make much of it then. Sam sent us that tweet. Asked us.
Rodeo Drive. Rodeo Drive. I got it wrong.
And didn't make anything of it. And then I saw he's married to Topanga. And Boy Meets World.
Yep.
And Girl Meets World, right? Both shows. So I was like, that's kind of funny. But
and he's not just it's kind of funny because like he isn't. I don't want to say nobody, but he's a verified Twitter account. Like he is a somebody. He's a
verified Twitter account. Who he is, I don't know. But
he's a podcast guy.
He's a podcast guy.
But so Cinnamon Toast Crunch, he's getting it tested in the lab right now. Cinnamon Toast is paying for it. But it's suspected that he had found a shrimp tail in his Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was some shrimp tail. You know, another fun fact about him that I just found on Twitter this morning while you were in the shower. He gave Chance the Rapper a $5,000 check to shoot a music video back in the day. Chance the Rapper had tweeted that out yesterday. He gave him 5 racks to shoot a video when he still had a nose ring. So I'm guessing that's a long time ago when Chance was still up and coming. But that's kind of cool to be able to say that you married Topanga from Boy Meets World. You helped Chance the Rapper out when he was starting out. Because you'll never forget that. And now he's a Cinnamon Toast Crunch guy. And Cinnamon Toast in their first reply was calling him like, no, that's overcooked sugar. But by the photos, it's just gross. There was also black spots found on some of the cereal. But that's me and Armand were talking about earlier was our favorite cereal growing up. We were a Cinnamon Toast Crunch family. We never had something like that occur. But I feel like one of the biggest scams is the toys at the bottom of the cereal boxes. I never once was that proven right. Never once did I find a toy at the bottom of the cereal box.
Sometimes it was like guaranteed in the box. You never did?
No.
You sure you got the wrong box?
I think I just got someone tampered with it. Someone cut the box open and took it for it.
The toys weren't worth it, and my parents didn't like it, but I had a few. I never did that thing where like you can collect the whatevers and send it in, you get a bigger toy, but
did you ever Honeycombs? They used to tell you that you had to go play a game on their website to get it.
I know what it is, but I don't think we ever had it.
Did you ever go to Candyland.com, play Candyland back in the day? You know, we were talking like addicting games, mini clip. Candyland games.
The board game Candyland?
No, I also had a website too, where you could play.
No, I just did the board game. We need Roger's 5 questions.
Jensen Karp. That's the guy's name with the Cinnamon Toast Crunch. He's got 170K followers now.
Huh. Yeah.
But his story inspired people to make shrimp-coated Cinnamon Toast Crunch, like fried shrimp-coated Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And I'm looking at this picture of one right now, and it doesn't look too bad.
I wonder how that is. Yeah, because you use what cereal can you use for like fried chicken? I feel like I've seen it, like chicken tenders.
It's stuff that you put on the. Well, no, not breadcrumbs.
You can use
you put it on top. It's cornflakes.
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 Right. Cornflakes. Yeah, on top of that, the cheesy potatoes.
Cheesy potatoes. Yep.
I think they have that Jack Stack. That was a hit during grad party season.
The cheesy potatoes.
Let's see. What's happening in the world? No one has any comments to share yet.
Cornflakes. Ryan Bibbs is back. Is he leading how's everybody's bracket doing? We gotta look at the copies on tournament chat. We gotta give an update on that.
Well, Bibbs' champion is still in.
Okay. All right, let's see.
All I know is his champion because it was showing. And you know what? I mean, I guess I have no stake in the race now.
All right, here, let's show the viewers at home.
We do need a talk tournament. We didn't talk tournament Monday. We gotta give breakdown. But all
right, here we go.
I think Bibbs' team. I don't know.
All right. So right now, first is Shad Miller. Remember, guys, $20, $25. I can't remember how much I said, but people are getting money for winning if they win this thing. Sean is leading comfortably right now, 40 points in front of Lily. They both have Gonzaga to win. Sean's max total is not the highest. Mia's roommate, Jesse, has the highest points still available to get, but she's currently still in 5th place with Terrell. I don't know how the hell I jumped up from last to 3rd, but somehow that happened. But here we go. Your top 3 right now is Sean, Lily, and Raj. And down at the bottom is Jeff Sutherland, everybody. And Bibbs. Bibbs are down there, too.
Sorry, Bibbs.
Creighton's still alive.
Well.
You know what? I wouldn't think that Creighton would be still in it with Oklahoma State. I thought Oklahoma State had a chance to make a good run.
Well, What do you mean?
Well, Creighton's still in the tournament.
Oh,
Oklahoma
yeah,
State's
no,
not.
Oklahoma State not.
I'm saying I thought Oklahoma State was going to last longer than Creighton in this one. Illinois just disappointing us all. But you know what? I'm okay with them losing to Loyola Chicago. I'm okay.
I've said this. Creighton, it seems like, is a weird team. There's games they've shown up and done great. Bibbs knows. He's a Creighton grad.
Yep.
And there's games they should have showed up and they just didn't. They beat UC Santa Barbara by 1, and it took them a few minutes with Ohio, but then they crushed Ohio. I know those aren't dominant teams, but you look at their season. They played it close with KU. They had some close games with non-tournament teams. But they're playing Gonzaga, the team that I said will lose. Well, I'll believe they lose once they lose. And I may have said this about Oklahoma, but I think Creighton gives Gonzaga a first half. I think it's a tough first half. I think Creighton shows up.
Well, Oklahoma hung with them in the first half, and I think that
kind of
Creighton's a better
12 points.
Well,
I think Creighton will make a close first half. That's what I mean.
You know, it's kind of funny. You feel when you're 10 down to Gonzaga, you know, you feel like you have some hope, but then it's still it's still like a marathon to catch up with them.
The problem with Gonzaga is no one has outplayed them in 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I think we watched the game. West Virginia lost them by 5. That's their only. Gonzaga's only time this season winning by less than 10 was against West Virginia early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had a BYU game by 10. They had a couple games by 11. That BYU game, they were down by double digits at half. I don't know how many times they were down at half this season, but it hasn't been many. I bet it's not as many.
That's 5, yeah.
No more than 5.
Now Creighton, who'd they beat again to get the advance?
You can't give the argument that Gonzaga hasn't played anyone because they did. The only argument is that was in the beginning of the season. Except this team is a machine, like you said. They got 3 top players.
A well-oiled machine.
And that's just the 3 elite players. What about everyone else? And they're really good.
Is there a prize for second place? You get 1 free night at apartment E16. A one-night stay added on to apartment E16.
Who's in third?
Raj.
Raj, you're coming over.
Second and third place get this. A sleepover at E16. Movie night at E16. It's like you get a pizza party.
You get a pizza party.
Pizza and a movie.
And you supply the pizza at E16.
No, the pizza's going to be Little Caesars.
We're going to see _Jordan.
You know what argument I've been listening to on sports radio that has annoyed the hell out of me? These games, these 16 games, you know, there's too many double-digit seeds. Like, you know, I see Oregon, and this isn't a double-digit seed, obviously, but I see USC and Oregon, and winner of that is going to obviously play Gonzaga. It's like, well, that's just going to be another blowout. Gonzaga is getting another easy trip to the national title. It's like, okay, they're just playing but they're just playing teams that come across. Sorry that Oregon upset number 2 Iowa. Like, it's just one of those things. There's too many double-digit seeds. We're going to get possibly Loyola Chicago or Oregon State against Houston. So you're just going to rule Syracuse out of their matchup? Syracuse has been playing.
No, I haven't.
Syracuse has proven themselves already in this tournament from this year and years past that no matter what seed you put him at, Jim Boeheim's going to coach this team and get him into an Elite 8 Final 4 position.
Maybe you put him at a double-digit seed, he'll even coach a little harder.
Oh, if UCLA beats Alabama, they're going to get blown out by Michigan or Florida State.
I haven't heard any of that, but I don't really have much to say about that. But if you scroll up, I was going to say something.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Terrell were talking about Gonzaga's path. You know, those first 2 games, we were like, you know, it's pretty easy. It's a pretty easy path for Gonzaga. And I'll be honest, I know my team was 3 in that region. Looking at the 2-3 seed, I think Gonzaga got a good combo of the 2-3 seed.
Yeah.
Looking at the region. So it seemed like their path, and, you know, their path should be fine. However, I thought the Virginia 4, although they lost, they got upset. And that 5 Creighton, I thought that was those are some teams. I think Virginia already played Gonzaga. That could challenge Gonzaga. And the reason I'm saying this is you look at the 6-7. Those 6-7, I was watching the game, and we watched USC.
Mm-hmm.
They are 2 of the teams with Loyola that people want to say were correct the word if I'm using it wrong, but what their ranking, they deserved a better seed.
Who's that? USC or Oregon?
USC, Oregon,
Yeah.
and Loyola. Some people say, I'm not saying they did it, but they were teams that probably did deserve a better seed. So you take away that 2-3, who obviously Gonzaga won't play if they win.
Mhm.
Now they got the 4, 5, 6, 7. That adds some competition to Gonzaga. That person who said obviously they're gonna win, Bibbs is gonna say not so fast.
Right.
I do fully believe Gonzaga's got to have a tough, 30 minutes in the next 2 games combined. They got to have. So someone's going to show up.
So
No
a
USC Oregon
half
will
and
play.
a half
Maybe.
a quarter,
At
3/4
least,
of the game.
that's the under. Because remember, USC, they showed up with 2 Mobley brothers. I
Yeah.
told my mom, like, yeah, they have Mobley. She said, that's why they were saying the Mobley brothers. I'm like, yeah, that's why. Oregon, I think, is on 11 of 12 games. Has won 11 of the last 12. That one loss being Oregon State.
Okay.
And that was to an Oregon State team that just started playing basketball. It seemed like they would just sit in and all right, let's see what we can do here. and you see they're in the Sweet 16.
Yep.
But that's kind of my stuff on Gonzaga. There's some fun seed stats. I don't know who else shares that excitement other than me. There's only one. The highest seed to make an Elite Eight game.
Is it Syracuse?
They
An
were
11
12
seed?
to make an Elite Eight game. Happened once.
Morehead State?
2002.
George Mason?
Missouri.
Oh, Missouri did that.
2002 made a 12 seed.
Who'd they lose to in that one? They lost.
I don't know who they lost, but they did. I think that was the only 12-8 matchup. That may have been
Yeah, I do remember that because
2002. They're the highest seed to make the Elite Eight.
Missouri had beat Ohio State on their way to that. I can't remember who they.
And
Wow, that made
before
my
we
morning.
address Bibbs' tough question, or tough comment.
Oh, the upset.
Oregon State can join that as a 12 seed to reach the Elite Eight. That's kind of a cool little seed fact I find. Because, the 12 seed, although it could be kind of a hot upset, you might think in the first round, second round, maybe. I feel like they've been in a good amount of Sweet 16s, but
Who?
12 seed, but they usually match up with the 1. And I think the year Missouri advanced, they were playing with the 8 seed.
Of course they were, man.
Same thing.
Of course
with
they
Oregon
couldn't go to the
State.
freaking Final Four against an 8 seed.
No. They were playing the 8 seed to make it to Elite Eight. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because remember, 12 is going to play 1 in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Unless the 8 upsets. And that's where Oregon State has that opportunity.
Oh, they defeated Miami, Florida.
But of course, highest seed to make Final Four was 11 seed. I think that's happened 4 or 5 times.
Creighton defeated Florida that year in double overtime.
Oh, fun fact.
There you go. Great. So it's been done before. They've upset.
If we get a Syracuse, Syracuse Oregon State Elite Eight matchup, that will be the highest seeds in an Elite Eight all time. I think the previous record was Kansas State and Loyola. I think that was 11-9.
Okay. When they played in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, a couple years ago. And if it's Oregon State Syracuse, it's going to be 12-11 for a spot in the Final Four.
That'd be so cool. But I really want Loyola Chicago to go back.
They seem like a good team.
I want Michigan, Gonzaga Final Four because I think Michigan's a team that can match up with Gonzaga pretty well and at least make it to the national title. Wouldn't it be cool to see Loyola in the national title game? I'm sorry, man, but
It would. I would love to see a competitive national title game. I don't know. Who knows? Loyola, Gonzaga.
you know what I saw this last out of the round of 32 games that differentiate. Thank you. The good teams that lost, the upset teams that got upset, the teams that were beating them, they were playing better team basketball.
Okay.
Oh my God. Watching Loyola play against Illinois was like, that was some of the best team basketball I ever watched. Those are guys that are well coached, have great chemistry, and each of them knows their role on the team. And that's why they were able to maintain a lead for so long against Illinois. Illinois didn't get a lead in that game. That was the first time this season that they did not get a lead in a game the whole season.
And Illinois was a good team too.
Good
Of all the
defensive
ones
team. That was
you
one of the things
salute,
talked
you knew.
about.
But Bibbs, I think you make a point about zone because you saw how that crushed. You saw how that kind of KU couldn't get away from that.
Yeah.
I was yelling, cut to the basket. They cut to the basket. There's 4 people there. I was yelling, take a smart shot from 3. take a smart shot from 3, you got 2 to 3. You got 2 hands of 2 people in your face. That KU game, other things too, but
No, what about the KU game? I think it's important to touch on it.
yeah. Well, no one asked.
But I'm
So
asking.
maybe you want to know about KU game.
While I'm looking up best offense and defense efficiency, because for some reason in the back of my head, I think I heard on the radio that Oregon and USC were two of the best teams at
You
it.
should look at where Oregon, USC, and Loyola are in these rankings. Because when I was
Loyola's right here at number
when
4.
I was looking at these Ken Palm rankings, you
Mhm.
have your 1 seeds or 2 seeds at top. Loyola was just showing up in that top 10 and just up there. That's an 8 seed.
That's what I'm
They were
saying,
up.
man. Every possession,
Florida State Nova were there too.
they get the most of every possession. That's why they were able to maintain such a lead on Illinois, because every time they were coming down, they were scoring it was like USC. Every time they had the ball on offense, they were scoring more times than not, which I know is a very dumb thing to say, because not every team, I guess, because when Abilene Christian beat Texas, that was the lowest field goal percentage team to upset a 3 seed or something like that.
Listen, here's a shocking thing. You have to make your shots. You have to make more shots, and you have to make more points than the other team to beat the team. You can have great defense. You can have a top 10 defense. You can have the reigning defensive player of the year. But if you can't make your shots, that's going to haunt you.
Yeah.
Whether you're a 1 seed, a 2 seed, 3 seed, 4, whoever it is, you're just going to keep losing more and more if you aren't making those shots.
No. But I think it's important to touch on it, because there's what we've seen on Twitter. We've seen people talk about Bill Self, and it's bot accounts, but the major people we're falling for the bot accounts and the
major
people
got to use their major brain then.
what it was bots and I can't think of the other word.
Burners?
Trolls.
Oh.
Trolls. They were getting hit by the Twitter trolls after the game. That's right, trolls. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of funny watching these, verified KU Twitter accounts get angry with bot accounts and troll accounts when they were saying Bill Self needs to get fired. Bill Self's on the hot seat. This so-and-so needs to enter the transfer portal. KU's going to suck for their next 3 years. And they were falling for it when it's just completely not true. So I think it's important to touch on it, why KU is, that was a terrible loss
I think
and
it's
everything,
important
but
to touch on the game, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's important to touch on those bots.
right.
I
yeah.
don't pay them any mind. I
Right.
saw people on Twitter saying so-and-so, and we were talking about this, but I forgot if it was with you or Terrell, but they're saying so-and-so this, so-and-so that. I hate seeing people talk bad. And I'm there looking like, I agree with you, but I haven't seen these people talk bad about so-and-so or all that. So I don't know where they're getting these bad.
It's in their comments. It's
And maybe they got more. They got more followers than I do, so they got more comments than I do. So maybe that's the thing. But
well, you didn't tweet during the game or after the game. I don't think.
no, I didn't. I had probably 20 tweets deleted.
I would like to see your Twitter drafts. I didn't know that was a thing for people to save tweets in their drafts.
Yeah. No, I wasn't saving the tweets. I was just tweeting my thoughts, and I replied to Matt Vernon of Bleacher Report, but that was kind of the only thing I said.
Did you say Bill Self needs to be fired?
So Bill Self. If you want to talk about Bill Self's tenure at the University of Kansas, Bill Self will be the head men's basketball coach of the Kansas Jayhawks for as long as he wants to be the head men's basketball coach. He controls that. If it's 1 year, if it's 20 years, it'll be his decision. And I'm going to be fine either way.
But about the game.
About the game. All season, we already touched on it, shooting. They struggled offensively. This wasn't the best, I think. Jesse Newell of the Kansas City Star said that this was maybe one of the, if not the worst offensively or shooting team for the University of Kansas. So offensive team under Bill Self. Defensively, we know how great they were. I think Marcus, you know how many points Mobley had on Marcus Garrett?
0? Yeah.
0 points. He was playing great. He just had those 4 fouls. He needed someone else to step up to, because this wasn't a one-man step-up game. And that was the problem with that game. But all season we saw their offense was disproportional
Mhm.
from their defense. It was on different worlds, and most of the times the defense was getting by because the defense was hard to defeat. But then when you could get through that defense, when the opponent could get through that defense, KU would start crumbling. And what did I tell you guys when we were watching? When KU starts crumbling,
They're crumbled. You can't put it back
they
together.
and then they crumbled. And when they're crumbled, and we saw that they for 12 minutes in the first half played great defense. Then they started crumbling. Second half, for 5 minutes, they were keeping it. And in my head, okay, we're down 20. This is what I said. You want to be down 15. Then you want to be down 9. And then you move from there. You don't move from a 20-point deficit. And they got it to 16. They were close to hitting my first benchmark.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went back to 20. It's around 15 minutes. And then they started crumbling. And then they were crumbled. It was done. So it was nothing to do. Again, if you can't make your shots, and this was a thing, it felt like the lid was on the basket. What I was saying was the ball couldn't find the bottom of the net. That kind of, I would argue KU had one basketball fundamental to fix this season, and if they did, they would have been a dominant title contender. Just one basketball fundamental. But it so happens that one basketball fundamental is a little important in any sport, and that's called scoring. They just couldn't score. They had great personnel, great coaches, all around. Great players, great potential. Kansas plays W. They always have great potential. The defense was astonishing, right? They took the right shots. Look at shot quality. It's one of these websites that looks at the shots and says,
it said each team was a 50% chance to win.
This isn't even the fifth time KU had lost the game or even got blown out. Of all their blowouts that they had, like Texas or I think Tennessee, they were still taking the right shots. That shot just wasn't falling in. Now, that was from the computer. From my eyes, I felt like there were smart opportunities of shots they didn't take versus weird opportunities of shots that they did take. But in the end, we're spoiled because Kansas usually has great teams. And in sports, you can always tell the difference between a good team and a great team. And a good team just has that one thing missing. And this year, Kansas was a good team. Their draw in the tournament wasn't the most difficult, but it also wasn't the easiest. And I was looking at that 2 seed. I totally forgot about that 7 seed. And then, of course, that 6 seed was pretty difficult. We were saying that was kind of tough. I wasn't really too afraid of Garza for either I wanted to get through USC first or that I thought it wasn't University of Iowa. I thought it was just Garza. But, we saw what happened. They lost a good amount of games this season, but in the end, it was a COVID season. Pretty weird all around. I wasn't too upset because it was a blowout. Kind of like our Super Bowl team. But in the end, that is what college basketball is. I forgot. I was nervous all day, and in fact, I kind of thought we'd lose. I forgot how kind of, I don't know, cool or promising that felt, being nervous for your team in the NCAA tournament. Like, Terrell came on and was like, are you okay? I was just kind of quiet all day, and I was like, listen, this game's 8:40. I've been waiting all day. I'm looking on Twitter, all these people tweeting whatever they want. I just want the game to get here. And then I was reminded of that sadness we feel or the overthinking in your head when you can't sleep after every KU dismissal from the NCAA tournament. So we got reminded how it felt because I've been 2 years removed from that. We all have been, some of us more than others. But in the end, closes the season. We'll see what next year brings. I don't know about these NCAA violations. We'll deal with that when that gets here. But until then, it was a good season.
I'm glad we're not under investigation.
It was a good putting an asterisk on the season? No, I'm not. I didn't think I said anything. It sounded like it was putting an asterisk. They weren't a great team. They were a good team.
It's because you mentioned COVID. That's why. But I don't think now.
No, I'm not giving excuses. KU
shot 29% from the field, 24 from 3. USC shot 57% and 61%. KU was out rebounded by 16. They just got outplayed. But you know what? I think it was Jesse Newell that tweeted it. Out of the last, I can't remember how many games it was, but USC was top 3 of shooting performance by teams that KU has lost to. I can't remember how many of the last games it was, but he gave like an emphasis. It was USC was like in the top 3, Villanova was in the top 15, whatever, and Oregon was like 27th. Teams that was team shooting performances against KU when KU has lost, and so they just got outshot. And we saw it. God, last year, 2 years ago against Iowa State in the Big 12. Like Iowa State had like 21 threes in Allen Fieldhouse, something like that. 17 threes.
Oh, wow.
They just got outshot.
That was a few years ago, yeah.
They just got outshot. It's
and
and they couldn't create shots. You couldn't create shots offensively. The offense just looked lost out there.
The problem is that's not the first time we've said that about KU in the NCAA tournament. That's not the second time. That's not the third time. In fact, every season that happens.
I got a question for you. Actually, this is one that sports radio. I was driving on I-70 to and back from Lawrence. How do you feel? And I heard this clip 3 times while driving. How do you feel about Bill Self's comments about saying that the team needs to be more athletic, more taller?
Yeah, that's right. You look at teams
because they're saying he's putting the loss on his players there.
No, I don't think he was. I think he was saying, basketball's changing. I'm not trying to be, go all overboard about analytics, but I think it's called HD Intelligence. They're this company that now some college teams have hired to help with not just their in-game plans, but their recruiting of players. And you know who these teams are? 2 teams in the Sweet 16, Arkansas and Alabama. LSU was also part of that. A close loss to Michigan. And we talked, they played a really good 30 minutes. And we talked, the refs had a time in that game too. But we've talked about Alabama before. If you guys look at Alabama's shot selection, you notice that they only shoot very Houston Rockety, very analytically. Maybe now it's Philadelphia 76ers. But it's only under the basket or it's at the 3. Because under the basket is where the shot is worth the most. Because you made it the most times, right? I think the shot is worth over 1 point, every shot under the basket. Or they shoot at the 3. You look at Alabama's shot chart, that's like that. LSU shot chart was a lot like that. I haven't looked at Arkansas's, but
another team.
I'm sure it's like that. When you watch Alabama, the difference between Alabama, we hear in the NBA, someone like the Nets who's a top offensive team. Or maybe you look at 76ers. I'm going to have to look before talking. But you look at 76ers or you look at the old Houston Rockets. Although they were great at offense, their defense kind of, they were just depending on those shots to be made. Well, Alabama has recruited players that not only make those shots, but he emphasizes this, fast enough to get back on defense, because Alabama has one of the most efficient defenses. If you're watching LSU, that team was quick.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Self means. You want more athletic, maybe speedier players, because I think that's where basketball is headed. We've seen in front of our eyes the transition from, you have 3 guards and you have 2 big guys, and how that's transitioned, not just at Kansas, but other dominant teams, college or NBA, where now maybe it's a 4-guard lineup. Or now you look at KU, they sometimes played 5 tall guards. Maybe have 3 guys who are over 6'6", but no one's going to be 6'10". And I think what Self did, he wasn't putting that on his players. He's maybe saying moving forward. But these players aren't unathletic players. These are lengthy. These players have good genetics. They can get more muscle, and they aren't. I know I'm kind of spewing words, but they aren't unathletic. These guys. Most of these guys are pretty athletic. Most of these guys are pretty fast. I think that's things he can work on with this team. And moving forward, there's really only one guy I think who won't be on the team next year, and that's Garrett, unless he does shockingly come back. But you are just missing one guy. Of course, that was your defensive monster, but maybe you can add an offensive monster. And hopefully everyone else is still good at defense, but then your offensive game steps up. And that's looking at next year.
Raj is in the group chat. He's on Coffee's on. He's coming in hot with his first question.
He's late, but see, that's why he's probably my KU stuff, because I knew if he joins in late, he's going to ask, so what are your thoughts on KU?
Well, hey, he can go back and listen to the live stream or the podcast when we post it later today. But I think that's an important question, because Mitch looked lost out there on defense, and he's always been a minutes guy to me, a guy that his role is to go out there and just give rest to the starters, while also doing some Mitch Lightfoot stuff like getting 2 blocks in the game or a dunk or something. I don't know. Those things that you see on Twitter and Prison Mike, or Prison Mitch, which I think is a pretty funny Twitter account coming out.
Favorite, yeah.
But he brings up, why does Mitch have to go in? Why does Bill feel that Mitch has to go in when McCormick comes out? I think that's my answer to you, is just for minutes. But a player that you wanted to see more of, and you talked about how Bill Self always does this, where he doesn't play these players until the end, and that was Grant Foster.
Yeah, he, I've had to bite my tongue about that, because every year it's the same thing on Twitter. It's the same thing about KU. This team has a lot of depth. There were 10 players coming in that looked like they had, what's KU's favorite word? A lot of potential.
A lot of potential,
this looked
yeah.
like a good team. You lost to Gonzaga, which we found out Gonzaga was a really good team. And I texted Terrell looking at their schedule. I'm like, they got a few tough non-conference games. They get through those, I think they could be undefeated. And they got through most of those. One of them with Baylor got canceled by COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But
I totally talked and forgot your question.
No, I was just asking. Well, Raj comes in kind of similar thing. The small ball. Do you think that Bill should have stayed with the small ball lineup more, since it was more efficient?
It might be more efficient, but the problem. Big 12 play McCormick started showing up. And I would argue the small ball lineup is efficient for when McCormick wasn't showing up. And that was during non-conference play. He wasn't showing up. McCormick does make the team slower.
He's a big guy. He's stompy. But when he's
stompy.
I don't want to say, but when he's good, he's really good. The thing is, he wasn't 100%, but he did like kind of improve on that Big 12 play. He was starting to become more consistent. And I'm hoping, he's going to have another year, maybe 2 more years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping he becomes that player I wanted him to come. We've all cheered for him. Someone like a Thomas Robinson, someone who can develop into that big guy. He's still nervous. I think he needs to work on some things in here, maybe not too much basketball stuff, but he can still get there. But I've been saying that every season. The small ball lineup, yeah, Rajat, it is more efficient, but the small ball lineup, and kind of connecting what you said with this second thing from Rajat, you got to utilize all those players. And Aruna wasn't available for this game. Wilson just traveled that morning, just got in that morning. Tying Grant Foster, you'd mentioned. I did not understand. Maybe I was under a rock. I didn't understand why he didn't play for 5 games. And this isn't the first, second, or third time that Self has had. And maybe this is because they're basketball coaches and I'm not, and they know something that I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that very well could be it. But what I don't understand is you have a lot of these players with potential. It's not like Tying Grant Foster wasn't playing in the beginning of the season. He was, and he showed some potential. I think he had the most blocks at one point for the team, because he loved blocking, just like DeJuan Harris loves passing. He loved blocking.
Right.
And you see, he's a lengthy guy. I think he's a pretty athletic player.
He showed it when he first came into the game.
He made 7 points. He made his first 2 shots. He made his first 3 or 4. And he was close on making the others. One of our best offensive, moments in that game. Why didn't he play? That happened early on with Svi. That happened with Cheick Diallo. Not really expanding on that big roster. And I can later look at the roster of the past and see if I'm right or if I'm just talking. And I understand you have your main guys. You have your main 7 guys. But when, one of them's getting tired and you're going to need to adjust for the next game. And when a lot of them aren't getting in that groove, don't you want to look to your bench of high potential players to see if they can get in the groove? Because how the season started was a lot of these plays were around the same baseline, let's say around the same circle. And that's the circle of potential. You had some that were much better than others. But in the end, a lot of these, we weren't for sure who were going to be the 5, 6, 7, who were going to be the 7 who were going to contribute. Exactly. We weren't sure who was going to finish that 7 to contribute on this team. And so I don't know why it had to be 7. Why can't it be 8, 9? I think Alabama uses 10, 12 players. Alabama, I just said, they're in the Sweet 16. I think I had them. I had them going. I think I had 4 brackets: 2 Gonzaga winning, 2 Alabama winning. But I had them going far. Both of those teams going far. So if I know anything, if I am a little right, then we look at Alabama. We watch an Alabama game. Hopefully they show up and don't embarrass me in their next game. I think against UCLA, but I think they'll be fine.
You look, they're fast. You look, they make their shots, and they still play great defense. Nate Oates is going to get a better job if he wants in a few years, whether that's at another college or that's in the NBA, but that would be later. But, you know, the small ball lineup can work. Shooting analytically, these teams, HD intelligence or HDI intelligence, I don't know. They've shown that you can still play defense and be very efficient on the offensive end. So maybe, and what they do that's different than other is they look at the recruiting. They recruit differently. MKU football's got to look at that. But
that's a whole nother topic. Alabama and Arkansas, that would be the most analytic national championship to happen, possibly.
If we look at their shot chart, I mean, then that would prove.
No, and it's shown. It's shown. Alabama's shot chart is a great example of analytics playing into the favor.
And you know, yeah, it's all about how efficient they are, and so that's why they say shoot under the basket. Like his name's Kirk Goldsberry. I have his book called Sprawl Ball, and they, you know, value each shot and how many points each shot is worth. And I think the threes and under the basket are the only ones worth more than a point. Of course, a 2-pointer is worth 2. So wherever you shoot, that's not a three's going to be 2 other than the free throw. And then a 3 is worth 3, obviously, but you aren't making all those 3s. But you notice that a 3 is a 3-point shot might be worth more than a long 2-point shot, because how much is the difference in difficulty when you step 2 feet back and compared with the extra point. And then, of course, under the basket, that's the shot I can make. So if I can make it, we see how efficient it is.
Armand went like 10 to 12 one day underneath the basket on 3-on-3.
It was 3-on-3. Bibbs knows how it is to play me 3-on-3. But
a lot of elbow. No, I'm just kidding. That was a terrible day. That was like the first day I was outside for longer than an hour. Being active. That was probably my most active day the last year.
That was crazy because we had 2 people being very competitive, and we had the rest of the 4 of us look like, hey guys, another day at the office. That was us.
And then I was over at the tree helping and pumping, throwing up Trulies.
I'm looking at Alabama's shot chart against Maryland.
Oh, here's a fun question for you. Well, it's gonna take. I wouldn't know how to answer this because I wasn't a former basketball manager at this high school. But what seed would an all Blue Valley Northwest starting lineup be? A 1 seed, duh. No. Who would even be on that team, Armand?
Let's see if I can.
Clayton Custer?
You have Clayton Custer and Ben Richardson, 2 players that not just played in the Final Four, but showed up in their run.
Yeah.
Okay. I think
both went to the same college.
Yeah, Loyola. I think both of them got. Look what Loyola's doing now. Both of them. Right. That coach, I've been saying, is going to go somewhere. I think K-State wants, but I've had him on my.
I love that coach.
Porter or something. Like
you know what's crazy? There was a legit article that came out about him being on the hot seat. It was
Loyola.
I know.
He's at Loyola.
He can tell him, give me this amount of money, and they'd be like, all right.
Clayton Custer and Ben Richardson, right? They both won Missouri Valley Awards. And I actually think Clayton Custer won it might be called the Larry Bird Award. It's the best player.
Did they win state this year?
No, they lost in sub-state. I think to Lawrence.
Another good basketball team.
Yeah, he is. So I think you have Clay and Ben. And then, you maybe have to go a small ball lineup there. You have Christian Brown, right? So you already have your guards, and those are kind of tall guards. But you already have, your 3 players there.
Custer being the point guard.
Custer being the point guard, and I feel like all 3 could handle the ball. Well, Brown started as a shorter than Armand, so he was a point guard. So his handles are there. He could be point guard if he wants. He's 6'7" though. Puberty hit him late. He got that because
you were taller than him at one point.
Yeah, freshman year. I literally laughed in his face when he said he was making varsity, and he made JV, and he was small. And once I saw him play, I saw where his handles were, and once I saw his brother, that genetics had in my head hit. Okay, his brother's already.
I'm gonna
really
go
tall.
talk to him. Be like, hey man, remember Armand Al-Husseini who laughed at
doesn't
you?
care.
Yeah, you need to play better.
He doesn't care. No. But yeah, you probably have those three. As far as the big guys, you have
That kills
top
me. You laughed in
names.
his face.
You have top names. So there's players who were pretty good who came after we left. All of us left. But you have people like Darian Jackson, who's at Tulsa.
Mhm.
You have Jermichael Morgan, who played in the JBL, the ball league.
Mhm. Joe, did you say Joe Pleasant?
I didn't say Joe Pleasant, and I remember I was saying this. I remember seeing Joe Pleasant. He was a great center, power forward in high school. The
Mhm.
problem was it didn't look like he was going to be tall enough for that college play. So the great coaching staff at Blue Valley Northwest, Coach Fritz and his staff, they really tried to work on his shooting. And I remember them working on his free throws. And so we see he's not the tallest big guy, but we see him go to the free throw line, right? And he was what, Jeff? You joined just in time. Joe Pleasant, the guy from Abilene Christian, he's headed to the free throw line. I wonder what you were thinking. This guy's a 50%, 40% shooter from free throw line. We've, as Kansas fans, seen 40% shooters. And if you notice when they were on the bench in that timeout, he didn't look too nervous. And two, no one came to talk to him. No one came to bother him.
Mhm.
He looked like, okay, I just got 2 shots to do. He didn't look super happy. He didn't look super nervous. He was ready. He was in a mode. He makes the first in his bend, makes the second, and to top off that ice cold water, he picks off that pass. Doesn't even give 3 Texas, the Big 12 champions, a chance.
Is that an asterisk on their season?
You
You put an asterisk on their season?
Talking big on Joe Pleasant. That's why I said small ball. Maybe you could put him there.
So what's your
feel
starting five then?
See, that's the thing. I don't know a lot about the big fours. You could bring back Salick. People would call Salad, who played at Washburn, but he was, I think, 6'10".
Yeah.
He was a big guy. He was on Clay's team. I think you'd put him there with Brown, and then maybe add a Jermichael Morgan.
Was Tyler Guyman a Blue Valley Northwest
He
kid?
went to Blue Valley.
Okay.
He was, I think, and he went to.
Well, he just got he had a crazy season
I
this year
think
for
you do that.
Washburn.
I think you have Salad, you have Salick, you have Ben, you have Clay and Brown, and then I think you add maybe a Joe Pleasant or a Jermichael Morgan, and then you have whichever one of those two that you don't put in the starting lineup. You have him and Darian Jackson coming off, and then Parker Brown.
And then obviously,
Good job.
which coach are you giving them? The one that is known
Coach Fritz, who's been there, and then I'll be the manager, and they'll probably be a 13 seed that's going to win their first 2 games. That's what they'll.
I
be.
like that one.
That's
I
what
like
they'll
that
be.
one.
I remember sophomore year they beat Florida, and I said it on KJHK. And then I remember I was at your guys' place, Connections, and we saw 11. And I
You were
immediately
talking
said-
about Loyola Chicago before the NCAA tournament even happened. Because you were talking about them when they won their conference tournament.
I even talked about them in December because I saw why they just beat a good Florida team, and then they won their conference tournament, and they play. I think they had Tennessee,
Mhm.
and then I forgot who their next matchup was. Actually, their second matchup was Tennessee. I forgot who the 6th seed was. But I like their chances to go Sweet 16. I even wrote a Kansas article. I picked that topic just so I could write about them and say that they were the double-digit seed that could go the farthest. I think in my bracket, I had them Elite Eight. I didn't have them in Final Four, but because I didn't think they would play K-State team. And I think that kind of helped. But
Well, so a
that's
13
the story
seed,
of
huh?
Loyola, huh?
A 13
I
seed
think
then.
they'd be a 13 seed. They aren't going to be, those were 2 players who were on an 11 seed that made the Final Four. Then I mentioned, KU guy, maybe MU guy, and I mentioned other guys who,
Yeah.
One guy Tulsa, one guy was in JBL. Mentioned some D2 guys. That was a good team. I think they would play well together. They maybe 13 seed.
We're very fortunate. We got to watch some good high school basketball growing up. Did you go to Blue Valley Northwest games like as a kid?
Not as a kid.
No.
I remember hearing about Clay in like middle school.
When did you know you were going to Blue Valley Northwest? Because for me, age was always going to be a thing from grade school on. Because
So us public school kids,
Right.
we just feed into that high school, right? So it's just the kind of
location where you live.
general expectation that you have your elementary schools that go into the certain middle school, and you have those middle schools that go into the certain high schools.
Mm-hmm.
My only problem was I was living around different high schools in the same district. I think my dad wanted me to research what was the best high school. But I mean, my friends were still there. When we moved back from California, my mom didn't want me to switch schools
Right.
for my friends and stuff. So I just stayed at Northwest because that was a feat. Some people would go to Southwest who could have gone to other schools because it was that newer high school.
Yeah.
And other more athletic people may have changed because of sports. But
Yeah, Northwest soccer was crazy good. It's crazy good as well.
I think they won 2 states.
Northwest tennis as well too.
You're right. There we go. Armand knew the people who were very good athletes at the school. I wasn't them, but I knew. I hung out with those guys. I was friends with them, the Lowe's, who helped bring the tennis.
Did you have a Joey?
Joey?
I'm talking about the circle.
Oh.
Did you hang out with did you used to ride around with the athletes? You go to McDonald's with them?
I didn't hang out with the Joeys. None of them. No.
I'm glad Jeff popped in. We're doing well today, Jeff. Jeff sent us a tweet today, a very interesting tweet in our Twitter group chat.
And I asked a very dumb question.
Well, no, that's all right. We all have those moments. And so...
But he answered it very respectfully. I wasn't disappointed.
Be respect to... Yeah, Northwest football was not very good. The lights went out at a Northwest Miege game at Dixon-Dahl Stadium.
That was Christian Brown. That was Christian Brown.
Yeah, he told us he laughed in Christian Brown's face. Not only did he make varsity, but he also went on to play at KU.
That year, but I mean, he was a freshman.
No, but anyway, I'm glad Jeff popped in because I'm very intrigued by the Twitter message said today. Tesla, you can now purchase Tesla cars using Bitcoin. Have you checked on your So Rare team lately? I checked them yesterday.
No, I haven't checked. Well, no, I haven't been on that.
Because I'm glad we're gonna get into a little tech talk here. Yeah, I checked my So Rare team yesterday. We're doing pretty well. Oh, Brett Comer went to Blue Valley Northwest. Do you know who that is?
Oh wow, yeah, he was on Florida Gulf Coast.
The year where they won.
Yeah, but see, I think he ended up transferring. But I think it went a couple of years. And you know who else went? The redhead guy, Kleinman, for KU, because he was in my psychology book.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the national championship winning team. He was a walk-on who went to West. A tall, redheaded guy. Looked like a tall leprechaun. Just a walk-on. But he started his career. He started his high school stuff at Northwest, but that's when West became a school, so I think he moved there. So some people did start at the school who went on playing college basketball. There's one guy, we went to school with their sisters. Bugaranovich, I forgot their brother's name. He apparently could have gone D1, but he wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
So he went to Johns Hopkins and became a pretty good player at that D3 school.
Yeah.
Now he's at Harvard Med. So he's doing well for himself. But he was a good point guard. He was before Clay. He was that era where they went to the state title game, I think 3 or 4 straight times. But you know who they lost to? Perry Ellis.
Oh, in Wichita.
One of the Wichitas, yeah. The Heights, and then go to
I don't think it was Heights.
You're right. Bull went to Northwest for 8 weeks.
That's hilarious. I used to see him when he'd walk through Miege. He had the windows at the top of the classroom, and you could just see his head as he was walking by every classroom. You would not be able to see anybody else but Bull. But yeah, so now Tesla's going to start allowing you to purchase. You can buy Teslas using Bitcoin, and just today alone, Bitcoin's already jumped up almost $2,000 in value since that announcement. We're starting to see now NFTs becoming very popular. Patrick Mahomes had a NFT charity auction.
And the cheapest thing went for $200,000.
$200,000. Jeez.
One of the 6 things.
I'm gonna look up how much he made on that. But we're starting to see now that cryptocurrency. I think this is the first major thing other than NFTs where you can start using it for you can start using it to purchase goods. And I don't know what the first thing ever bought with cryptocurrency was, but the fact that you can go buy a car now, something that's not virtual, something that you can actually see in your parking lot, something that you can actually drive.
But I think these transactions are also just as smart for the seller.
Yeah.
Or the receiver. And that's why
Oh, yeah, 'cause
goes
we-
to my dumb question if Jeff was here. Because then you're receiving the Bitcoin. And I
Yeah.
see that instead of receiving something that
A $5 that's worth just $5.
instead of I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing it as that bit, and I think that's actually much more beneficial. And on the other hand, not as beneficial for the guy who's buying.
Yeah.
The seller, the person who's buying, but the seller, that is really beneficial.
So that's something my parents always told me. Buying a new car is not a good investment because the minute you drive it off the lot, it's already losing value.
Yeah.
I like that. I didn't think about that. If someone's receiving Bitcoin,
That was-
that's like an investment for themselves, and
Yeah.
that's why we see NFL athletes now. Athletes, I can't.
Yeah. Because
Brian was when I was in Rakpo. Was Russell Okung?
Okung, right? And then Okung, I always thought.
Okung,
was, but,
one of the two.
Spencer Dinwiddie was one of the first to do that.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the Kings a few years ago started accepting Bitcoin. And I think the Mavericks want to start accepting Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Um,
Because it's more valuable than possibly more valuable than just
valuable because of what we just said.
yeah.
Because you're receiving something that can change in value much quicker than the dollar bill can change. Because if you want to get technical, the dollar bill technically can change in value, but that's maybe how the world sees the dollar bill.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan knows, Bibbs knows. He's our accounting guy here, our consulting guy, our money guy. But
What is he? Oh, I gotta look. Sorry, I'm looking up to see how much Patrick Mahomes made in his charity auction. But yeah, we just got into So Rare, which is virtual
that's what it's
soccer.
called. So rare. I was trying to
Which is
look
virtual
for it.
soccer, and you can't use debit card money. They don't ask for a credit card. They ask for your online wallet, which I assume is just. I know I'm going to get this pronunciation wrong. Ethereum, Ethereum,
Oh.
one of the two. But that's how you would. It's like FIFA My Team, but except it's not on FIFA. Obviously, it's on your laptop and phone, and they use cryptocurrencies for your transactions. So if you want to buy a player on your team, if you want to sell a player, you're not going to receive money. You're going to receive cryptocurrency back, and that's what essentially will be your cash.
I haven't really played with it. Maybe I should.
Ethereum. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Bibbs. Ethereum. Ethereum.
Ethereum. That's how he says it.
Ethereum.
Ethereum.
I bought some on my Robinhood, but I haven't made any money on it yet. It's kind of dropped in value since I bought. But I was watching a YouTube video on it the other day with Mark Cuban talking about it. He said it's possibly going to be more valuable than Bitcoin in the future. And I think that's because of things like So Rare, and when you're purchasing NFTs, they don't ask for Bitcoin. They ask for that instead. And it starts getting into this whole thinking of what the future is going to be like. And you know what? I wouldn't mind owning a virtual beach home with a beachfront. Can't buy one in real life yet, but you could buy one virtually. And that's where TikTok, like Armand showed me, one of the books that if you want to learn about the future more, there's 2 books, but one of them is being Ready Player One. And if you see in the movie, then you already know that it's a virtual reality.
Ethereum.
Thank you.
Ethereum.
So I think it's just kind of a cool thing of how it's kind of picked, how it's all just picking up and growing now. And, someone in our own backyard that's quarterbacks for our favorite football team, Patrick Mahomes, he's getting into it. I see him as a smart guy, I feel like. Can we agree on that? He's doing a lot more than just football. He's putting investments in other places.
Smart guy and smart friends.
Smart guy and smart friends. He knows who to surround himself around with. So I'm very curious to see in this year how much it grows. But yeah, so we did So Rare Soccer. My team is still on the first pack, but it's all right. The ability for smart contracts is what makes it so valuable. It brings a whole nother conversation to the negotiation table. It definitely does. It's interesting. It's fascinating. It's tech. It's the future. We're 23 years old. We still have we hope to still have 70 years left on this planet. Kind of crazy to think what's already happened in just 20 years. Crazy to think what's happened in just 10 years.
So did you join a league in this sorority?
I think so, yeah. Is it Sorare? Yeah, see, look, in just a year, Bitcoin has grown from $6,700
Oh, I got new
to
players.
$56,000. It's just crazy to think about.
Who are these guys?
Can you? What are you doing over here?
I got another pack. Wow, this is really cool. Okay.
And you're seeing things with Top Shot as well. Look, I got him fascinated now. He's already the coffee is on into the laptop. Scott Peterson wants to know if you're coming to Chess tonight. Yes, Scott, we will be there. We will be there at Chess.
Yeah, we are.
That reminds
We
me.
got to read up on these openings. That's what I was thinking last night.
Yeah.
I got to read up on some chess openings. Because what have we said? Honestly, us three, with Terrell included, I think we're at the same level when it comes to chess. We know where the pieces go.
Mm-hmm.
Credit to Terrell because he had to learn the quickest out of us all. But we know where the pieces go. Maybe I'm speaking for you.
Hey, that's what before we're gonna play some virtual chess to get ready, Mr. Peterson. But before we,
a website for you, just chess.com. That's how
Chess.
I play with Ethan. But
it's very generic. I like it. They
know.
got to it first. That reminds us, we have to thank our sponsors for the show. Life Insurance. Life Insurance is a sponsor of this show. Life. We love talking about life. And Mae West only said once, you only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough.
okay.
And that includes getting things right in life. Life insurance. For when life doesn't go right, you're insured with life. Life insurance.
Welcome my kids, everybody. Oh, what? There's so many tasks. I keep getting cards on this thing.
What?
I keep getting cards on this Sorare.
Mm.
It's like Ferrari.
Ferrari? Oh my goodness. He's going to have a heyday with this. All right. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott Peterson. We can't wait to see you at chess tonight. We're going to bring our appetite, not for the food, but for the chess.
Yeah, but we're gonna start out playing each other though. But
Chess. We're talking about chess.
man, no, you're right. I talked to both of my parents about how I beat one of those guys. I talked to both of my parents about how he just made one mistake. I was talking up every. I was so crazy how I won. So I won him chess.
Yeah. I know. I remember. You won against.
It's because he stopped. This guy stopped making a what I call. He was in a.
Chess is like life.
Yeah, you're right. You gotta be
And
insured.
your pieces are your
You
insurance.
got to be insured. Sometimes the pawns are the ones you overvalue, but that pawn still offers a little insurance.
Someone's got to make a sacrifice. That's what I see it as. The pawn's a sacrifice.
But he made this guy made one mistake, and what was his mistake? Nothing he did really wrong.
Yeah.
It was that he kept attacking me, and then he stopped for one move. That allowed me to not defend and move my pawn to the other side while I still had my queen. Make my queen, and when that became a queen, that immediately got him in check. I think I won the next move.
One move can put you in a hole.
Mhm.
But just like life, in the game of chess,
Or chess.
you can strategize to get yourself out of that hole. Just how it works. It's just how it works. Pawns make the sacrifice. You got your protectors. You got to protect the king. Who is your king and queen in your life? You got to protect those, but you also got to use them to your best capability. Armand is my king and my queen. I love you.
Oh, wow. I love you too.
Scott,
Here we go.
Bitcoin is cryptocurrency. It's valued. It went up in $50,000 in just 1 year. Where the hell is it going to be in the next year?
Up, down, I don't know.
I'll tell you
gonna
where,
move.
I'll tell you where we're going to be on Friday. We're going to be right back in this seat at 10 a.m.
10
And
a.m.
we hope to see you there as well.
10 a.m.
Everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your Thursday. We'll see you on Friday. And yes, Bibbs, it did. It did indeed.